Hey, this is Stephen Van Kampen-Lewis. It is October. Hey, this is Stephen Van Kampen-Lewis. It is September 8th, Labor Day here in the United States, which means that there's a lot of folks watching this who may or may not have the day off, including myself. And I figured I'd talk to you all a little bit about fertilization. I got off a phone call with George Hatfield actually a couple of hours ago, and we were talking about some AOS, American Orchid Society related things. And I recalled that I really wanted to do a fertilization video for y'all, since I get that question so often. And the tie-in with George Hatfield is he came to Austin some years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I guess, and sort of explained his fertilization technique, and I adopted it as my own, and I haven't looked back. I think it's one of the greatest, simplest, easiest fertilization techniques that I've ever heard of, and that really resonated with me, especially coming from such a prominent grower as him. He's the former AOS president and grower extraordinaire over there in California. So basically his formula is really simple. It's time release, or slow release, I should say, slow release fertilizer, specifically NutriCoat, and a calcium magnesium supplement that is typically done with lawns. So I'm gonna give a bunch of brand names and stuff in this video. I don't think that YouTube has given me rights or access yet to add links into my videos, so I'll just have to add the names of these particular companies, and then y'all can Google them or look them up in whatever search engine you prefer. So yeah, basically what we have is time release and calcium magnesium supplement. And there's 2 ways you can do it. So this is my jar of slow release. This is NutriCoat. You can see that NutriCoat has the gray little pebbles there. And then I don't know if you can see the brown in there. That's the sort of slow release calcium magnesium. And the calcium magnesium that I have used for a while is Mag-Cal, MAG-I-CAL. It is for lawns. It used to only be found at Ace Hardware. It's all over the place now. You can get it at Walmart, Amazon, probably your local hardware store. Yeah, so just check it out. But that said, I'm not super excited with it. So this particular formula is great. It's easy. It has traditionally been easy to find, but I'm finding that it's more difficult to find. So as you know, the NPK values represent basically the numbers of, N is nitrogen, P is phosphorus, K is potassium, and then of course you have the trace elements in your fertilizer regime. I used to always do a balanced fertilizer, so let's say 13 13 13 or some variation thereof, but basically balanced. I was really unable to find a balanced NutriCoat for this this particular go around, and I don't know where to find the other ones that aren't in a giant bag that's this big, or some monster bag. I think that one that I bought, the most recent one that I bought, was 18.3.5 or something, which is okay as well. But if NutriCoat becomes a balanced NutriCoat becomes more difficult to find, I might have to switch up my regime. So that said, at the very least, this is what you need. This is 2/3 NutriCoat, 2/3 the gray stuff, to 1/3 Mag-Cal calcium magnesium lawn fertilizer. That particular brand, as you can see, it used to come in pellets. The Mag-Cal used to come in pellets. Now it kind of breaks into a powder, so I might have to redo my formula for this as well. This year, so this spring, I started getting fancy. All right, hold on, before we start getting fancy, I do want to say that in addition to the slow release, that you use kelp fertilizer of some sort once a month. You know, I'm not gonna get into too much into why, but basically there's a lot of root stimulants in this stuff, and there's some other reasons to use kelp fertilizer. But you know, I encourage you to go online and see if it's right for you. Again, once a month, no more than that. You don't need that. I use Kelp Max. It's from First Raise Orchids. Ray Barkalow is one of the smartest chemical backgrounded people. He's one of the smartest people in orchids with a chemistry background, and he knows his stuff. So when he talks about fertilizers and chemicals, I believe him. So for anybody wondering, slow release plus Kelp Max or another kelp fertilizer of your choice, whatever you can find in your area. So that's sort of the basic. Then we can start getting more fancy. If Nutricoat becomes too difficult to find and this Magical is not really a slow release in the way that it used to be, and it just kind of all drains out the bottom of my pots, which is what I kind of saw this past time when I purchased it, I might have to just switch. So this spring I started trialing something called Purely Organic, and Purely Organic is actually the brand name of this fertilizer. It's this sort of powdery stuff that you get from North Carolina, I think. Really cheap. Again, I've mentioned this a bunch of times. Sue Bottom has a great article on it at the St. Augustine Orchid Society. You can get that, and I'll write this up here. But so if you just go to the St. Augustine Orchid Society and type in and do a search for Purely Organic, you will find a write-up on this stuff, and that inspired me. This was, I think Sue wrote it in like 2017, so you know, it's 3 or 4 years old, but it inspired me to buy some. I didn't get around to really trying it intensely until the spring. I've been very satisfied with the results, and what it is it's basically, you know, I showed you, it's this powdery stuff, and you put it in here. And yes, believe it or not, you can put it in here. You put it in here and you pack it down, and then you get it wet. And when you get it wet, it hardens into these little nuggets. And these little nuggets will stay in there, slowly breaking down for, as far as I can tell, 6 months or more. And this might be the way to go. So Purely Organic is the one that I might just, it's the one that I might switch over completely to. I'm using it in the spring now as the orchids are waking up. There's some really good nutrients in there that I think are beneficial for those plants, catasetums and calleas and others, that are really help sort of wake them up quicker and really crank up that growth early on. Another thing that I've been using is Quantum. So this is another one of Ray Barkalow's products. He sent it to me when he saw that I was having issues with a flask that I received in the mail that had the young that are the young were like this big in the flask, way too early to be unpotted. It got mold. I made a video about it, and then I made a subsequent follow-up video, and everything's going well with my particular setup. But Ray said, hey, you know, this Quantum will really help with those little guys. And what it is, it's a beneficial soil and plant microbial inoculant, as you can see there. And basically it's probiotics. So the theory behind probiotics is that you sort of overwhelm a system with good beneficial microbes, and it helps to squeeze out the bad microbes, in addition to promoting you know, more efficient metabolism. So for example, you'll see a lot of yogurt commercials. They're like, hey, probiotics is great. If you have this yogurt once a day, your gut health will be improved compared to what it used to be before you were taking the yogurt. Probiotics are used a lot in animal feeds as well, and plants. So, you know, this is again from Ray Barkalow, and if he says it works, I am inclined to believe him until I have found that it doesn't work, and I have not found that. So that's really my fertilizer regimen, sort of in a nutshell. Again, I like to do slow release so that I can set it and forget it, and I just hit them with water, and then, you know, once a month I'll use this stuff so that I'm not carrying around. I mean, before I did slow release, I would mix all my fertilizer into these watering cans. And, you know, if you have a collection that's as big as mine or bigger, let's take a quick look over here. You know, walking around with a watering can, and then I got these guys over here, and then you've got the catasetums and some more cattleyas over there. So if you start getting to have a collection that's this size, walking around once a week or on a regular basis with hand watering is a pain in the butt. I don't want to do it. The moment that this hobby becomes a chore, it's not fun anymore, and you lose interest. And I think one of the best ways to maintaining interest with a large collection is, you know, to have overhead sprinklers where everything is just drenched on your plants. But I don't have that. So I like to do slow release fertilizer, where I put the fertilizer on once or twice a year, and that's it. And then just hit them with water, and then plus the Kelp Max once a month in a small container or in a watering can. So again, slow release with Kelp Max is, or a kelp fertilizer. Sorry, I keep saying Kelp Max, but I just mean kelp fertilizer. I prefer Kelp Max, but there's a lot of products out there. That's sort of your most simple way to do it. If you want to start getting fancy, or switching over to different products, you know, this is still slow release, and then I add a probiotic to my regimen. So that's it. That's probably the most common question that I get is, what is your fertilizer? How often do you do it? Oh, and I should show you how much. So for a big pot, you know, it's maybe this big around for cattleyas, I'll take a tablespoon, scoop it in here, and just sort of sprinkle it around. For sort of a 4-inch pot, you know, something this big, I use a teaspoon. And same thing, just kind of drop it all around. And then for bigger pots, I'll add more. For smaller pots, I'll add less. I eyeball it. I am not the type of person that has to have everything exact, I guess. So I kind of eyeball stuff, and that's pretty much it. So fertilization can be tricky. A lot of people want to make it really complicated. I want to make it really simple. And I know that some orchid societies have even banned the talk of fertilizer because people get so passionate about their preferred type of fertilizer. And I don't know, I don't think it's that complicated. I will say Bloom Booster is snake oil. Do not buy it. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. It doesn't boost your blooms. If you have a good balanced fertilizer, that's all you need all year round. Again, keep it simple. All right, if this was helpful, thumbs up. Talk to you later. Please share and subscribe. Bye.